Well, I finally got my channel changed to be called The Scriptory, finally. Um, so I just wanted to check in quick and do an episode. I don't really know what to say. I finished a chapter today, and it was actually like a really nice day out today. So the fact that I decided to sit inside instead is kind of shocking to me, I guess. It sounds Valley Girlish. It was shocking. Like, oh my god, so shocking. But it really was kind of a surprise, just kind of spur of the moment, like sitting down and deciding to write kind of thing. So, and I really love it when that kind of stuff happens because it goes against my natural instinct that I need to somehow, the mood has to be right and it has to be quiet and the weather can't be nice, because if the weather's nice, I am outside. Because we only get 3 nice days per year up here in northern Wisconsin. So if it's nice out, I'm not in here, I'm out there. But so it's kind of nice to have those moments, those just like spur of the moment type of things. So that happened today. That was awesome. I finished a chapter and now I am on to the next chapter, which is a Naomi chapter. And she is my favorite character to write. So this one's going to have a little more action. I've been just trying to think recently about, I was kind of struggling, and I still do struggle with feeling as though writing is worth my time, and feeling, wondering kind of like, should I be doing something else? Is it worth my time? And such stuff like that. Because with other mediums of art, it's pretty evident. And you can share your pieces of art, like other types of art. And you get the the immediate feedback, like a picture that you took of, like, the daffodils. People are just like, oh man, that's a really cool picture, and oh yay, spring's coming, and like you get this immediate feedback from viewers, from the crowd. And and like a piece of artwork too, even if it took you like a month to do, at the end it's like, holy crud, like that's beautiful, and blah 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 blah, and like they can buy it if they want, and it just moves on. Like, that's so anyway, that's with writing, it's not like that. At least, I mean, maybe with a poem, but like, you can't really like, oh, here, read my poem. Like, that's kind of just weird. Like, it's less weird to, well, maybe not, sharing poetry on social media, but people more respond better to visual art than they will to like a piece of writing, for whatever reason. I'm sure there's a whole psychology into that, but I loved the ending of Game of Thrones, and the reason I'm bringing this up is because it reminds me as an individual why I am writing to begin with. And I've always liked like writing little stories and whatever. I think it was like 3rd grade I entered my first children's book writing contest, and so like writing has always been an integral part of who I am. But as I've aged, I've discovered what reading has done for me as a person, and then that just spurs the writing side of me, like, oh my gosh, like that made me feel great. I learned a lot. I want others to feel the same way as I feel after having read this story. Except the story that I want to read hasn't been written yet. So, and that's kind of where the whole writing thing comes in. It's like creating stories and allegories and stuff like that that you haven't read before, and but you would like to. And so just with like the ending of Game of Thrones, and I just inside I was like screaming and smiling and just like that was a good ending, like well done. And I have my criticisms for sure. There are a lot of different things that I would have gone back and done. But that being said, I'm not going to be a perfect author either, and I'm probably not going to have perfect editors and perfect readers who are going to see this, that, or the other thing that should be edited. Or maybe I'll be too arrogant at the time of editing to change something that should have been edited. And it's all just part of the process and part of the artist's choice. So, in light of all of that, Game of Thrones has really reminded me, like, this is why I am a writer to begin with. And George Martin isn't the fastest writer, but he's still, like, he came out with Fire and Blood, which is a huge novel. It's like a history book, basically. And, you know, he's still writing Winds of Winter. It's not out yet. He's working on all these, you know, shows and everything else, and he's just busy. And but I'm a kindred spirit to him, because when in his interview with Stephen King, he mentioned, like, oh, haven't you ever wanted to be like a plumber? Like, you're just like, oh man, like, what if I was a plumber or whatever? And Stephen King's like, no, I've always wanted to be a writer. And like, he's just, I don't know, they seem kind of like very opposite types of writers. But so like George Martin is definitely like a kindred spirit, and I feel like as writers we tend to, once like a writer becomes successful, it becomes very, very easy to become judgmental of writers who haven't published yet, writers who have trouble writing, like getting themselves to write, writers who don't publish as quickly or as often as said successful writer might. So it all just becomes weird. But anyway, so I ended up printing off a picture of George Martin giving the thumbs up with his little hat, and I just really like it, and it's helping me, because like whenever I'm like, this scene is stupid, or this scene is kind of racy, or I don't know if this is too risky, it's like I look down at that picture of him giving a thumbs up and I'm like, maybe it is okay. And like, and that just reminds me, like, well, I can always edit later, like it doesn't have to stay in just because I want to write it. So I don't know, sometimes a little bit of weird encouragement is all it takes. So I hope that you're able to find your weird encouragement today as well.